Hi, so today concept is trigger sense. So if you see here, trigger sense could be basically it is trigger sense, or they also called as transactional messaging. So they call it as trigger sense or transactional messaging. So trigger sense is nothing but it's not like we send a email from by ourselves, but this one we have to send it by with the help of another system. Could be a third party system. So third party system could be anything. It could be any other system. Imagine it some for example, if you're working for Adidas or if you're working for Nestle or something, so they have a different system which is already an inbuilt legacy system. So they have the data inside their system. They just want to use a marketing cloud just to send out an email. So if that's the case, then it's so difficult for them to integrate all the data into our system for security reasons also. So what they do is they keep the data in their system completely. It is up to them. They just use marketing cloud for sending an email. For that reasons, we can use trigger sense. Not only this, we can use from any system. We can also hit emails from Salesforce platform also, like CRM Salesforce. So let us see like how this trigger sense works. So if you wanted to do this trigger sense, there are three things what is important. That is data extension. Second one is valid email, and maybe we need some lists, or maybe if you are using all subscribers, it's not a problem. You might need some lists to store to which one of the people we have sent an email. And also you can use some API. So we need a API setup. API setup. So using all these things, we can establish this one. So first of all, let's start how to create this trigger sense. When you come to interactions, there is something called as trigger sense. You can click here. In this trigger sense, I have created one folder called as my trainings. Let's use this one. And one more important thing what you need to remember is once you create a trigger sense, you cannot delete it. You just have to archive it. So let's create this one. So before creating this, we need a data extension and valid email. So if you go here, let us go to the content builder and let us see if we have some um, emails over there. So in this my training folder, there are emails. Let me take some email. Yeah. So this one, I think we can use this one. And also let us create a data extension. We need a data extension for this. So the trigger sense altogether needs a different kind of a data extension. It is not a normal data extension. So how to create that data extension is a little bit important. So come here, create it. Here there is something called as create from template. There are a lot of templates, but here we need to concentrate only on one. So this one, you take that one. You have created it. Maybe here we can give some first name. Subscriber key is a subscriber here. Completed. So why we have to create like this is because this is highly important. If you want to create a trigger sense, definitely there should be subscriber key and email address, which is highly important. So this you cannot change it. It comes by default with the template. So once this is ready, let us add some data. I just add some subscriber key. So I just created a valid email. So we have two things now. So we have a data extension, we have valid email, and let us also create some lists for ourselves. This is not mandatory. When you're using all subscribers, it's fine. But if you're using lists, so here, let us create one list. Triggers and list. So here, public list, if you use it public, this can be accessed in other business units also. So if you wanted to use it only for this business unit, don't enable this. So yes, so we have this now. So this is empty. It doesn't have anything. So this is also done. So now the next thing is we need a API setup. So before we go to a API setup, let's build this trigger send itself. So come here, this trigger send, go to this folder. Trigger send emails. In my trainings, you create one. Let us not give an external key here because system automatically takes an external key, and here external key is important because we will be subjecting this one to a different system. So description, any description you can use. So by default it is a transactional because all this triggers and sort of transaction emails. So make sure that you use transactional, because if you use transactional you don't need to include unsubscribe link. So that's the reason by default it goes into a transactional. And if you wanted to override your sender profiles, you can override, but this doesn't make any sense, um, because this one uses the sender whom you're giving it in the API. So in the content builder, go to content builder. So here, take this email and here the list, we can use the list what we have created. So this one will store the list which list of items to which we are sending an email. You can also update the subscriber list. Basically if you enable the SAP and all, so here all subscriber options would come. You can select all subscribers. Why you have to select all subscribers means all subscribers doesn't have a size limit, but lists have a size limit of 5,000 contacts. So when you're using this trigger sense, if your contacts increases more than 5,000, it's a problem. So we have to go to all subscribe, but in our case, for our practice purpose, let's use list here. Then this trigger send, because if you use a trigger send as a template, then only you will get this option. So you have to create a target send data extension. That means all the targeted people to whom you are going to send an email would come and fall into this data extension. You can keep this. This is domain exclusion. If you don't want to send email to some people, you can add into a data extension and you can enable it here. But as of now, we don't need it. It's fine. This is multipart MIME. That means using this one you can send, if you enable this, you can send for all text emails and web email and HTML email. You can send everything here. So if you enable this one, if there are multiple calls coming, when it reaches the threshold limit, like suppose if the size is more, it disables, this one will stop working, or else it keep throwing an error. So it's always good to enable this one. But in our case, we don't need to enable this because anyway we are not using so many calls. So once all these things are done, let's save this. So once this has been saved, if you see here, it is created and modified. The status is new. So everything comes like this. Now, once you do this, you just have to start this. So that means now the trigger send is active. So once you start this, it comes into running state. So now this is completely active. So now completely as a marketing cloud consultant, you have completely built your beautiful template, you build your data extension, you have loaded the data, so you have done everything. Now it's time to communicate with other systems. So how do you present yourselves to a different legacy system, telling them that, hey, come on, our data extension and our setup is done. Now it's their turn. We have to guide them how they can hit our system to send out an email. So that one, if you wanted to make an integration, for example, REST integration, also you can use SOAP integration, but in our case, most probably in Marketing Cloud, REST is the easiest way to use it. So that's the reason we go to the REST API. So before going to the REST API, we have to make our system efficient so that it is ready to be integrated with other systems. So how to do this one? So come here, there is, if you go to setup, in this there's something called as install packages. Here you can come and create one. So here you can create anything like this. You can create keyword description and you can save it, and here it shows it's in a development status, and now you have to add the package. And here you can also set up for the source account. Also by clicking here you can give access, but here in your case we don't have any currently you cannot edit it, you cannot give access because we don't have that permission. But ideally here by clicking this access, we can give access to specific business units. So currently we don't need to have that because currently in our case we are in this business unit, so we are getting access to this, so that should be fine. So here adding this, there are a lot of other things which we can do, like using journey builders or maybe entry sources. There are a lot of things which we will be studying later. So currently we just have to go with the API integration. Click next, and here these two is a little bit complicated. This one, when we're using mobile studio or all those things, you will get to know this one. So currently we are not dealing with any apps, we are just doing a one-to-one integration. So here it's a server to server. Click next. So here wherever you wanted, you can give an access, whether you have to expose your contacts or maybe you wanted to make others to change your data, or you have to do some data encryptions, event notifications. So here you can select whatever you wanted to, like you can give access or maybe you can enable everything, push notifications, SMS, and you can save it. So if you do like this, your app is completely ready. So your app is completely ready for these things. But as of now, let's not use this because there is already an app. So let's delete it off. You already have this app. So here what we will do is, so let's use this app for us. So it's completely renamed and now it is easy for us to use it. And here we are giving access for the emails and data extensions, and these things are highly important. So this is your account ID, this client ID, this is client secret. So using this client ID and client secret, if this is highly secret, if you give this client ID and client secret to someone else, they can do anything with your system. They can log in and they can access data, so they can do anything. So these two things are highly secure. So once you subject to integration, if that legacy system they uses it, and if they stop using it, make sure that you delete this package, because client ID and client secret you cannot change it, so you just have to delete it off. So this is bit secret. So now we already have this, but how to make other system ready? So currently we don't have any other system, so we are using a Postman. Using the Postman, you can hit REST API using Postman so that we can send out an email here. So now how to configure a Postman? This is one zip file. Um, this one, it came from one of my friend. Since they are using it, I will share this with you. So if you extract it, you will get this file, and it has some collection and environment JSON. You don't need to edit it as of now. You don't need it. It is fine. So here, install a Postman, a latest Postman. You open it. because configuring this Postman for Marketing Cloud is a little bit tricky. When you come here, try to create some collection, or maybe you don't need to create a collection because already we have a collection. You can just directly import a folder, choose folder. Yeah, you can use this folder, select this folder. Here, everything is imported. And if you see here, this became a user account also. So now you have everything. You have all the SFMC related APIs and also SOAP APIs, all social studio related APIs, but it is fine as of now. Let's not do all those things. For us, as of now, authentication. First, you need to test whether authentication is working fine or not. So you have to give this particular API. So if you come here, there is an API here. You have to give an API. This auth endpoint is already configured. So it's already configured here. If you want, you can give a client ID and client secret here. So here, as of now, maybe this also you can ignore it. It is fine. So client ID and client secret, and this one auth.x.api.coms, which is fine. So this is the complete URL which you're going to hit. Client ID is something which is here. Paste it here. Client secret. Paste it here. You can also paste it here, but if you paste it here, you have to put this into flower basis and you have to use it. But let us use a direct method way, which is easy for you. You will not be confused. Once you send this, you got an access token. That means your client ID and client secret is valid, so you have a authority to hit that system. Now we have to prepare a API. We have to prepare a JSON format API or a REST API so that that person can hit and enable our system to work upon. So how you can get this? Where do you get the information? You cannot keep everything in your mind all the time. So there is already a Marketing Cloud APIs, a documentation which is in help documents. So you go here, REST API, REST references. In this REST references, there is a lot of things. So here currently we have used authentication also. Now we have to send messaging. So let's see the messaging, send an email. So this is the one what we need. In this one, in this API, what you need is a key, entry key. We can ignore everything. Just make sure that you have two address to whom you are sending an email. And you also need the address, I mean the email ID and the subscriber key, which is important, and from where you are sending an email is also important. So this is how this looks like. So you just have to keep in your mind, if you put asynchronous, it is asynchronous. It executes whenever the system is available. So there is and this is a synchronization means one after the other. Like why we have to maintain the synchronization and asynchronization is, suppose if you are hitting an emails, right? If you are hitting a emails, it should be like sometimes you have a requirement to send a ordered emails. Like for example, you have to send an email to a customer, that is like a registration form. So once the person fills the registration form, then you have to send a message saying them that success, yes, you have successfully registered. And next you have to send one more form, yes, please enter your payment details or something. So there is a different kind of emails you might need to send for a person. So if you enable asynchronous, first it will go and ask success email, and then it will ask please fill the form. So the emails will not go in order. So if you wanted to make to go in order, then you can go for synchronization. Or if it is fine, like however the email goes, it is fine, then you can go for synchronous. So that this is the different requests. So this doesn't create any difference for now in our application. So you just take this API, which is important. When you take this, so here it has a host. This is important, and this is the endpoint which you're going to hit. and content type is JSON, you have to have this access token. You know this access token is already been generated. So when you give a third-party system, you have to give it like this, and you have to fill all the information here. So what is your host? So the host address would be here. So this is the host address. When you click it, it gets copied. So this is your host address. And how to build this one. So this one, you can put it like this. Currently we are doing through Postman, so we can put everything here itself. So currently I have built this. You can just fully, you can keep it like this. So that means till now, till here it is host, and all this message sends, this is external key. So everything is been kept it in this format. So this key is important. So this key is something which is in our trigger sense. So that is the message ID, what it is. So come to the triggered emails. Got trigger sense. It was called as trigger sense earlier. Now they renamed it as triggered emails. So once our email is ready active, that means it's in running status. You can take this. You can put it over here. So now this is done. Now address. So we have to give some address here, like you have given your email, and this name you can give. So this is the sample name. Maybe you can use name because this is the name for the email. And here you give address of the person. So here the subscriber key again. You already know how important the subscriber key is. You give a subscriber key. And here these fields are the fields which is referred in the data extension. So in our thing we have given as a first name. I remember that we gave a first name for the data extension, which you can give anything, and also you can give as many as fields you want. You can give as many as you want. So once this is completely ready, now we give this to a third-party system. So we just give this format, that person will fill all the details and he'll send. So now let us come here. I'm going to send this again. I got an access token. Now I have to do messaging. Here for messaging only there are, you can just click this. So this is maybe the old one. They just have a SMS messaging. For email messaging they don't have yet. Yeah, here they have message definition. See, here they have this already. So this message send definition, you can use the same. This is a host endpoint. So now they already have a body also. You can use the same body, but currently we have created it. Copy this, paste it here. If you have any bugs, it would show. And the token, you go back, you take it, and on this authorization, you have to put it here, access token. So you put it here, and again go back to body. So your body is ready. Now here we are going to replace this one with the key, and this host endpoint is something which we already have with us. You take this complete URL, paste it, and you send it. So once you send it, this is successful. If you have any errors, it comes as has, and it also shows some error, but these errors are very difficult to trace it out. So you have to make sure that your system is completely fine. So currently it is in queued status. So if you go here and if you refresh it again, so it is queued here. Here you can see the status, it is queued. So it takes some time. Uh, Before that, we will see like what is the current status of our data extension and our list, whether it is populated or not. Now you come to contact builder. or maybe easiest way, let's go with Image Studio itself. So when you come here in the data extension, if you go to my trainings and if you go here in this triggers in, so you have this record here. What did we send? 746282. So we have sent it and we got this one. So we already have it here, which got populated. And now if you go to lists in my trainings, in this list also we have one count to whom the email has been sent. So it's sent to this with this subscriber ID is active, which app we have used it, API was the method, so bounce, is it HTML? Yes. So the first name is something which we have added it. So all that information, it got populated. Now let me check my Gmail. See here, I got an email. So here, if you see here, the name what I sent was this. That means it should come as Banu. So here you got it. And if you see the email, it is a test user integration. It comes as an email. And also here is the complete name. So you got all the name and everything. You have all the information here. So now the email has been sent. You can ask me a question like, hey Banu, we have selected a different send classification. How did it came? This test integration is nowhere our sender. Can we misuse this? Of course, you can misuse this. This is one of the thing which you cannot stop this, because you can use any email. I can use maybe Gopi's email I can use, or maybe Ankan's email I can use it, and I can send it to someone else. We can do it. So, but still it comes like this. So based on this, you know that it comes from other source. You can misuse it. Marketing cloud, we cannot chances are there that it gets misused. So that's the problem. We have to be careful. So this sender could be anything. We cannot control this. So this is all about send classification and it's triggered emails. So once you come here and you see it's running, and one important thing is, imagine that you don't want to do. Now let me refresh this. You come to triggered emails, you come to my trainings. So here it says running and one has been completed here. So it shows that one is completed. So now what requirement we have is, maybe if you're working in a company, so the company people will say, hey, the email what we have sent, we missed to add some links in the email. Can you please add the link? So if you wanted to add the link, what you will do, you will go to the contact builder again. You go to, you go to a content builder and you go to that email, and maybe when you go to the email here, you can go and you can make the change here. Maybe you can do some editings here. If you do this editings, that will not be reflected here. So if that one wants to be reflected here, you have to pause it. Again, you have to publish the changes. So once it is published, and again you have to start it. There is a lot of chances, because if you are not much experienced, suppose if any person comes into your company and if they don't have a proper experience, if they come here, click it, and if they don't publish these changes, still your email will be shooting the wrong content. So always when you make changes to the content, make sure that you come and publish. This is highly important. And one more thing is, here we don't have a delete option. So always, as a best practice, make sure that you create only one trigger send. Don't create too many trigger sends, because too many trigger sends will make this junk. So in order to stop this chunking here, you can create one more. Maybe you can put it as trash, or maybe you can rename it to archived, because archived gives a better meaningful name for this. So here, once you pause it, then only you can archive it. So once you pause it, click it, and you archive it. So once you archive it, here the status is shown here. So once it is archived, you can click this, you can move it to the archived folder. So now it's archived. Yeah. So this is all about trigger sense. It is a small application only, but when you deal with a bigger applications, a bigger integrations, so then you might need to be more careful. Like you have to concentrate like on the data extension, the valid email, the list, the API setup, and all this stuff. But here every small thing is important, because even if you make a small mistake in this client ID or client secret, all your integration would be stopped. And also you have to make sure that you give them the correct API. So you have to give them the right API, you have to give them the right client ID, client secret. You have to tell them that once the client ID and client secret is hit to your system, so you get an access token. So they have to store the access token in the authorization bearer, and again they have to hit it properly. And so everything is important here. And also when to publish it, what is your sender profiles here, what is your delivery profiles. So everything matters. So this is all about the trigger sense. You can use it. Maybe you can create one trigger send for you, and you can use it. If you want to use it again and again, please don't archive it. And if you don't want to use it, imagine if you are fully happy with what you are doing it, then you can archive it. And one more thing is, you don't need to create multiple apps, because already an app is created. If you really want to see how this app is, for you can come here, you can create one, and maybe immediately you can delete it. So you can reuse this app. It has a client ID and client secret, so everything is working fine. You can take this and you can use it. And most importantly, make sure that you configure your Postman well, because we will be, when we are dealing with integration concept, we will be learning about all these things, all these operations and all. So this is all about the trigger sends, triggered emails, or a transactional messaging. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me.